Hey.
Hi.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate you making the time, and I look forward just to really spending time with you this afternoon and asking you some questions and going deeper on our relationship, your career, and you being a mother as well. But I want to kick us off by really just to start our journey with bragging on you. You're a Spelman College graduate. You graduated with honors. You were denied your first go-round into dental school due to a low DAT score, but a lower DAT score. You started Operational Smile while in dental school, which is an organization that raised money for children that were born with cleft lip, allowing them to get surgeries. You graduated from dental school, and within your third year, you decided to specialize in orthodontics. You were third in your dental school class of roughly 80 people. You were nominated and selected for Atlanta Business Chronicle 40 Under 40, which is amazing. And you are a board certified orthodontist, a mother of two, an artist, a wife, and many more accomplishments that you've been able to accomplish on this journey. I'd love to just share a really quick letter that I wrote for you.
Okay.
And then we'll jump into some questions if that's okay.
Sure.
We've dated now for 18 years, been married for 8 years, have 2 beautiful babies that we prayed for, and jointly hit significant career milestones together. Not one day goes by when I'm not grateful that God placed you in my life. I think back to our first year of college and seeing you for the first time, and I instantly knew without personally knowing you that you would be my wife. I prayed for you my entire life, and when God put you directly in front of me, I knew that I had captured the moment and that I had to make every single interaction count. Thank you for choosing me, staying loyal to me, giving me the greatest gift, which is having children, allowing me grace and space to chase my own goals, setting your own goals and achieving them, and lastly, being an exceptional mother, wife, sister, daughter, and friend. You're beautiful, the most intelligent person I know, driven, resilient, faithful, compassionate, and many more adjectives. You are my life partner, and I am yours. I pray that you know that your mother is watching you from heaven and is proud of the woman, mother, wife, and career professional that you have become. I love you more than the world, and thank you for being my wife.
Thank you. Don't have me cry before we even get started. I love you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, my pleasure, and I love you immensely. So thank you again for being here, and thank you for everything that you do for our family.
Of course.
Who is India Collier?
Who is India Collier? I am, like you said, a mother, a wife, a sister, a friend. I feel like I am a true multi-hyphenate. I grew up in Marietta, Georgia, and I was raised by my single father, as you know. My mother passed away when I was 8 to breast cancer, and my dad raised me and Ashley on his own, did an exceptional job. He is a dentist, and so I grew up around the dental office. He would pick us up from school, and sometimes we'd hang out at the office until we had gymnastics or whatever our after-school activities were. I remember just kind of always being around the dental office, and so I always kind of had that in the back of my mind as something that I might be interested in. I always had an interest in art as well and took a lot of art classes growing up. And so when it came time to kind of figure out what I was going to do with these thoughts and passions, I thought science and art would be the perfect combination. And so I knew I was interested in studying biology, becoming a science major, and I chose dentistry without any pressure or anything from my dad. It just kind of always felt like the right thing for me. And so I ended up attending Spelman. I majored in biology. I was on the pre-dental track, and I decided to pursue dental school. And as you know, and like you mentioned, I did not get into dental school during my first application cycle. Which actually kind of worked out for the best. It's God's timing, you know, in hindsight. I ended up working with my dad as his dental assistant for that year, and I learned a lot about dentistry during that year. Got a lot of good experience, and eventually went on to dental school at Medical College of Georgia down in Augusta. And like you said, in my third year, decided I wanted to go to more school. I remember that conversation in my mind, like, dang, I got to tell Ben. I want to sign up for 2.5 more years of school in Augusta. But you were always super supportive. One of the best decisions I feel like I made was also specializing. And so thank you for your support always on that. So I stayed in Augusta and completed my orthodontic residency there. And shortly after became board certified, moved back to Atlanta. We got married, started working. Down the road, of course, 2 kids, have an art business, so I'm multi-hyphenate. I do a lot of things, but that's just a little bit about me.
Thank you for sharing. And yes, you have all of the skills, and you're vibrant, beautiful, brilliant, and again, like exceptionally talented. But I do want to just really spend a little bit of time, because you did unfortunately lose your mom. I've never had the privilege, of meeting her. But because she passed away due to breast cancer when you were 8. Can you tell us a little bit more about like the impact that had on you both personally and professionally?
Yeah, I think resilience is the first kind of word that comes to mind when I think about just that situation. And just looking back on my life, I just had to figure things out. And now I kind of approach any situation like I can figure this out, I can make it through, and I will, because I did. I am incredibly grateful for the village that kind of stepped in and filled all those gaps that could have been missing along the way. We had an incredible amount of support from family members and just family friends, and just some incredible, just influential women that I can think of that really filled in those gaps for my sister and I. And my sister is absolutely amazing. I mean, she was kind of my first example. We used to butt heads so much because I just wanted to be like her, and I would steal her clothes and literally do everything she wanted to do. She went to Spelman, I went to Spelman. Like, I was always kind of running behind her, and I know it was really annoying at the time, but I am incredibly grateful for her, just taking me under her wing. Yeah.
Well, share more about just, your relationship and the influence that Ashley, your sister, has had on you, and really leading your way, because it's more than just Spelman. You also pledge AKA, Mu Pi at Spelman College as well. And, I feel like you've had her, as a mentor and, a best friend. So can you just share a little bit more?
Yeah, for sure. I just really looked up to her. Before me, she had to figure this out. I'm not an older sister. I can only imagine having a younger sister and having to put on those big girl clothes and big girl shoes and just, kind of carry us both along. And she did it kind of effortlessly, to what it seems to me. I'm sure it was not easy by any means. But she was always just a source of strength, I think, just kind of looking back on it. And like I said, everything she did, I kind of wanted to do. Like you said, Spelman, AKA, she's an incredible businesswoman. I look up to her incredibly in terms of her business acumen and just all the things that she's been able to do. She just is incredible all the way around. And so I'm super grateful to have her as an example. And as my best friend, she was a mom before I became a mom. And so, we have that bond, and it's just, incredible what she's been able to accomplish. And I think what I have been able to accomplish, just having her as that example and, following behind her footsteps, because her footsteps are large ones.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for sharing that and expounding. I do want to pivot a little bit to just your dental school journey, because again, I think there are roughly 80 kids that started dental school with you, and I can remember there are only a handful of Black students that were there, and even an even smaller demographic of African American women that are there. So can you just share more of like the challenges of what that looked like, being an African American woman while in dental school and then residency as well?
Yeah, for sure. The biggest thing was just not a lot of representation. There weren't a lot of people that looked like me. We had a class of 80, and there were about 10% Black in our class, which at the time was actually a pretty high percentage nationwide. It doesn't sound like it, but we became really close, the classmates that I had. And I also became really close to the other Black students that were in dental school in the classes above us. But yeah, representation just was not there. I don't remember having any Black faculty members.
Wow.
There was one faculty member in oral surgery, Dr. Ferguson, who actually took out your wisdom teeth. But he was one of the few. I just don't remember seeing any Black faculty members and not having anyone to kind of relate to on that level. I mean, the faculty were amazing in general, so I don't have anything bad to say about them, but it's just no one that really looked like me. And so, just like we do in most situations where there are a few of us, we lean on each other and we find our own community. And so we did that amongst my classmates, the ones that came before us. I can remember the older classmates really kind of just showing us the way and giving us that hand to kind of lead us along. But the other thing, while I was in school, I joined the Student National Dental Association, which is the student organization to the National Dental Association, which is the Black Dental Association, which was historically founded when Blacks were not allowed in the white association. And my dad was a huge part of the National Dental Association growing up. We would always go to the summer conferences, and I just remember him always being involved. So when I was in school, I got involved and I became our chapter delegate, and then I eventually served on the National Student Committee. And so that allowed me not only to just connect with people at my school, but we started going to conferences, and I started meeting, Black student doctors from all over the country that I still talk to today. So I kind of just found a way to expand my network and just find other like-minded individuals and, lean on them when times got hard, because they did. But like I said, we always, find a way to find like-minded people and make a community out of it. So I think that was really helpful for me as well.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. So it's funny because I can remember legitimately like it was yesterday when you called me to tell me that you were deciding to specialize, which meant 2.5 more years of school. And I remember, because it was a point in my career where I still was pretty early-ish in my career, but I was ready to buy a house because I knew that I was, honestly getting ready to propose to you. I had a ring already sitting in the safe deposit box, and I was like, we need to figure out what's next. And yeah, we talked through it, and I remember pausing my head where I'm like, of course I'm gonna support. But at the time period, for me, mentally, I was just like, I wonder what brought about that decision. So can you share a little bit more about, you were coming up on getting ready to go into your 4th and final year of dental school, and then you're deciding to add on basically 3.5 more years, completing your final year. Like, how did you really land on, I want to specialize, and I want to specifically specialize on becoming an orthodontist?
Yeah, so my dad, as you know, is a general dentist, and the plan kind of going into school and even during school was to graduate, go join the family practice, kumbaya, all is well. And I always kind of had that in the back of my mind as the plan. And then junior year came around, and it was really kind of decision time. Applications were approaching for residency. And I remember sitting in class one day, and it just kind of came as an epiphany. Like, do you want to do something different, or do you want to, go back and join your dad? And I just remember sitting in class like, I know I've always been interested in ortho, and I had braces growing up for almost like 5 years. I had a really difficult case. I had an underbite, and I remember just the impact that my orthodontist had on me. And ortho was always kind of in the back of my mind because I really loved him, and it just had such a tremendous effect on my life and my smile and my confidence after that. And so it was always kind of in the back of my mind. But I do remember my dad having a conversation with me. He had a friend that was in Philadelphia who was an orthodontist. And he just kind of said it casually, like, yeah, Dr. So-and-so in Philadelphia, he made $1 million last year, he's an orthodontist. And in my mind, I was like, well, that's interesting, tell me more. And he connected me with him. I ended up talking to him and his daughter, who was also in the field. And I just became super intrigued, and I kind of looked more into the lifestyle and just the opportunities that it could afford me in the future. And I decided, like, within a week. And I remember sitting there like, okay, well, now I have to tell my dad, and now I have to tell Ben. I'm, you know, kind of ruining the retirement plan. I'm not going to go back and join the family practice. But it all worked out. I ended up telling him, obviously, and he was super supportive, you know, just like you were, and I'm grateful for that to this day. I never felt any pressure one way or the other from him. Didn't feel like there was any resentment or anything like that, and so I'm super grateful to him for supporting me, you know, making that tough decision.
That's good. To any of the viewers watching, we have not made $1 million yet, but
No, we have not.
We are striving and working towards it. But thank you for sharing that as well. Last question, just about dental school, and
Yeah.
then we'll pivot. But can you share a little bit more just about like residency? And for me, it's like I remember seeing you in school what felt like a lifetime, honestly. And coming out, I'm like, well, she's a board certified doctor, and you're stepping into these practices and you're the doctor of these practices, and a lot of times it's on you, and you have a plethora of assistants and staff that are there to support you as the doctor. What gave you the confidence? How did you really understand like leadership and like really like acquiring the confidence to step in as the doctor and being the true lead of these practices that you joined?
Yeah, you are absolutely right. Many times I am the youngest out of the team, and they are looking to me. I'm the decision maker, and it is truly up to me to lead not only the clinical aspect, but the culture and, you know, how things are run and the flow of the day. And I do remember first getting out like, okay, this, you know, could be a lot, but I can attribute my confidence, I will say, to two main things. One being Spelman. Spelman, I think, is hands down one of the best decisions I've made in my life, because it allowed me the space and opportunity to figure out who I was. We were children when we entered college, honestly, and it just felt like such a safe space to figure out who I was and the woman that I, you know, eventually morphed into be, in an environment that I felt comfortable in, with people that looked like me and sounded like me and had similar dreams as me. And so I did not really realize it, and I tell my mentees now, you probably don't even realize, but when you graduate, you are going to be more than fine. You have all of the skills, the excellence is ingrained in you from the beginning, and it's just something that you realize after the fact. You are prepared, you are educated, you can sit in any room, and you can be great. And so I attribute a lot of that to Spelman. For the confidence. And the other part that I am immensely grateful for is my education in Augusta. The orthodontic residency program that I attended was exceptional. My program director, Dr. Eladio De Leon, he was tough, but he was incredible. And while I was in residency, he was the president of the American Board of Orthodontics. So the standard was, I mean, the highest. There was nothing less than excellent that he was instilling in us. All of the faculty members were incredible, and just my education that I received just boosted that confidence even more. I specifically remember my first day of work, my first patient that I saw. I sat down, I was working in a corporate office at the time, and they're like, okay, look at this patient. You have like 5 minutes. Tell us what you want to do. Tell us how long it's going to take. Tell us the treatment plan. And I was like, okay. And I sat down and I did it. And I felt confident because I had the experience. We were trained to do that. We would sit down in morning conference and they would put cases in front of us and ask us, how are you going to treat this? What are you going to do? We were getting asked board questions literally just routinely, because that's the level of excellence that was expected of us. And so I think the confidence that Spelman gave me and the exceptional education that I had in orthodontic training really prepared me for that.
That's good. Thank you for sharing that. You also mentioned your mentee, and I know that you're really big on just mentorship, both being mentored and then also being a mentor. Can you just expound a little bit more on mentorship and the importance that it has played both in your career and then how you look at really just giving back to the next generation?
For sure. You mentioned before, I did not get into dental school my first application cycle. And just thinking back on it now, if I had someone to kind of hold my hand or at least say, hey, do this, study this way, I think that could have been different, to be completely honest. And so one of my passions now is pouring back into students that were in the same spot as I was at the time. And so myself and a group of fellow Spelman College dentists, every year we lead a group of students through their application cycle. We start in the fall and we start with resume, building. We do a study schedule for them. We sit on Zoom calls sometimes for 4 hours while they're taking practice tests just to know that somebody's there. And you have support, and you can reach out to us for literally anything. So we go through the whole process with them and just kind of hold their hand along the way. And we have seen dozens of students get into dental school, which is just incredible to see. And so that's really a passion of mine because it's something that I wish I had, back then. And just a safe space for them, And I think that's the most important thing I envision in mentorship and being a mentor, is just a safe space where you can ask questions and, not feel dumb for not knowing the answer or not knowing what to do next. Just having somebody that you look up to that can just be honest with you and give you feedback one way or the other, whether you really want to hear it or not. So that's definitely one of the reasons that I'm really passionate about what I'm doing now. That's
really good. And I think on just jumping in a little bit more, revolving around that, you mentioned Spelman and you guys are really big on giving back. What advice though would you give to younger boys or even younger girls that may not have the privilege of going to a Spelman or any other school similar that's seeking out new mentors? Like, is there any advice that you would give to them of how to make that happen?
Yeah, for sure. I would say start by just kind of looking around you and who you look up to and who you kind of admire, who's doing things that are similar to a path that you may want to follow. Reach out to them, set up lunch. One thing I encourage is to be really intentional. I tell my mentees all the time, if I don't respond to your text back. Follow up. Life is very busy, but that does not mean that I don't care. But please text me 3 times, and I promise you I will answer if I don't. I also give the advice of, just being respectful of people's time. In a mentor, usually you are looking for someone that is, on a higher level of achievement than you, and with that comes probably less time and less time for just things outside of your job and your family and things that you can devote extra time to. And so just be respectful of people's time, show up on time, answer the calls, show up for the meetings, and just like with any relationship, nobody wants to be in a one-sided relationship. And so I feel like make sure you're bringing something of value to the relationship, whether it's telling me about a new technology or something new that's going on, that I may not be aware of. I think that's also really important, just making sure that it is a two-way street on the mentor relationship.
I think that is excellent advice. And I think for me is advice I think more people and students need to hear, especially when you hit on coming prepared, adding value, and following up with text, right? Because our lives are busy, and it's not that we are forgetting about these students or being absent-minded. It's just that there are a million moving pieces, and that kind of helps me transition into our next topic, just revolving around just being a mother, right? You have a super demanding career, and also we have a pretty demanding household as well, having 2 little ones at home, Benjamin III, who's 1.5, and Tatum, who's 5 and just started kindergarten. Can you share a little bit more about how you maintain the balance between, a busy, demanding career and serving, as a mother in our home?
Yes, I can. It is a challenge, and it is something that I will say candidly that I don't feel like I have figured out yet, and that's okay. One thing I've learned kind of along the way is to just extend more grace and realize that there is not a perfect balance. Like I don't think it exists. I personally have not been able to feel like, oh, I'm just killing it over here, and this all, like, the balance just never really feels right. Some days I feel like I'm crushing it, some days it's literally crushing me, and that's okay. But what I have found that is very helpful is setting boundaries. I do that with my work schedule. I am fortunate enough to be able to make my schedule how I want. I can work 4 days a week. I can stop patients at 4 o'clock so I can pick up the kids, because you are exceptional and you will take them. And so just having those boundaries and setting them early so everyone is on the same page. No one at work is going to ask me to stay around for a 6 o'clock meeting. I mean, that will happen occasionally, and I will do it when it's necessary, but it's not going to be a routine. So setting those boundaries and just, I think, talking about it more. Most people have children out there, and majority of the people that I work with have kids, and they understand. My patients have kids. Sometimes the kids are the patients. And just being honest, like, hey, gotta run to XYZ for my daughter, or, oh, I am late because this was going on at home. Like, people understand those things. And so I think talking about that and just being honest is incredibly helpful. One of the other things I think I try to do a good job of is being honest with my friends, especially my mom friends. It's hard out here. It's harder out here. And I know you always joke like, well, y'all are in your mom group chats. And I'm like, we're not bashing y'all. We're not doing anything like that. We are just relating on, man, today was kind of hard, and this is why. And they're like, well, girl, me too. And it just like takes a little pressure off your shoulders to know that you're not the only one out here just trying to figure it out. We are all just doing our best. At the end of the day, we're doing our best. We're trying to show up for ourselves, for our husbands, for our employees, for our children, for school. I mean, all of the things. It is not easy, but I also just try to remember that this is a blessing. You know, this is what we prayed for. And so when the times get really hard, and I'm not going to say I don't complain, because I do, but I have to really check myself sometimes. Like, you wanted this, you know, you wanted this career, you wanted these kids, you wanted this life that you now have. And so it's just a good reminder every now and then to just kind of reel it back in. Like, this is what you prayed for. It is a blessing. Doesn't mean it's not going to be challenging, but it is a blessing.
Yeah, it's good. She made me sound a little toxic there, y'all. But,
no.
but moms, I know it's difficult. We love y'all, and we so much appreciate everything that you guys are doing to hold down the forts at home. Just a few more questions for you. What do you want to be true for our kids' future? I
want our kids to feel incredibly loved, incredibly supported. And I want them to be able to take risks. I want them to be able to fail without feeling judged. And I just want our family to feel like a safe space for them. I mean, loved most importantly, but all of the other things, because, you know, life is hard, and I always want them to feel like they can turn to home. I want them to call us if they get in trouble. I want them to call us and call each other. I'm really going to instill in them the relationship that I feel like we have with our siblings. They are going at it now, but we did the same things. But now as adults, you know, we realize how special and beautiful the sibling relationship is. And so I am going to continue to impart that on them when they are old enough to understand it. You know, really lean on each other and lean on us. We're always going to be there to help you and support you and not judge you, and really just feel like a safe space.
Thank you. I think you couldn't have hit it on the head anymore. I have those same visions, thoughts, and prayers for our kids as well. Two final questions for you. What advice would you give to women, especially women of color, looking to enter the dental and or the healthcare field?
Please do. Go for it. Go for it. We need more of us. The percentage of Black dentists in the United States right now is around 3.8%, which is really low. And so I always kind of stick by the mantra of be the change you want to see. So you have to go after the hard things. We can do hard things. We do it all the time. But you have to go after literally the things that don't exist. You can't be scared to be the first to do something, be the second. I was the second to finish, my residency program. And if I looked at who was before me, it could have been daunting. Like, oh, well, nobody's done this before. But somebody has to do it. So why not let it be us? We are equipped. We are brilliant. We are beautiful. And lean on those around you. Lean on those that come before you. I really impart on my mentees, like, yeah, I am going to help you get where you need to be, and I believe you can, but I also think it's important that you reach back and do that for as many other people as you can. We need more of us. We need more doctors that look like us. We need patients to be able to trust people that look like them in these professions. That's how disease rates go down. That's how, so many aspects of generational just biases and things that we are experiencing change. And so why not us? We are literally the ones that can do it. So pursue it, go after it, ask for help, and then reach back and bring some along with you.
Yeah, thank you. Amazing answer. Last question for you. And I thought about this question a lot, because I'm like, there's nobody on earth that I feel like I know better than you, and I'm like, I really wonder what her answer to this question will be. But if you could speak to your younger self who was navigating the life after your mother's passing, what would you say to her today?
I would say to her, trust God. Trust God. He's gonna help you figure it out. Between your mother's genes and this faithful God that we serve, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. You'll figure it out. Yeah, God will fill in all of the gaps where you feel like they may have been missing from her, but she was such an incredible woman, and I've got more and more stories over the years as I've grown up, obviously, just family members sharing with me. She was incredible. And I just know that I have that within me now. So I would tell my younger self, you already have it. You already have it. Yeah, you have it. So between your mother's genes and, this faithful God that we serve, you're gonna be fine.
I pray that you're proud of yourself and all of your accomplishments and what you've been able to do. I know for a fact, and I haven't had the privilege to meet your mother, I know that she is looking down on you and exceptionally proud of the woman that you have become as a wife, as a mother, as a daughter, as a sister, as friend, everything. You are exceptional. There's not a day that goes by where I don't wake up and I feel like I need to be doing more because of all of the impressive things that you continue to do. So thank you for your time. Thank you for being my wife. Thank you continue to be loyal to me, committed to our family. I love you more than the world.
I love you too, and thank you for having me.
Okay.